From New York, Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, Laura Stiles, Rosenberg, and Kierna Mayo representing Cassius today. Give it up, give it up, give it up.
Thank you.
A new site put out by Interactive One.
iOne Digital is our new name.
iOne Digital is a new name.
Yep.
And that's TV One, that's Radio One.
We are a family under the Urban One umbrella. You got it.
Kathy
TV One,
Hughes.
Kathy Hughes, the great.
Yeah.
TV One, Radio One, and now iOne Digital.
And
Cassius.com.
CassiusLife.com.
CassiusLife.com.
And what does
Yes.
Cassius mean?
So Cassius is the first name of Cassius Clay. You guys are
we know
familiar.
that. We
Of
know
course.
that.
Cassius Clay.
I didn't know this was related to that.
Yes. So interesting story. Related but unrelated. Long story short, we decided that we wanted this site to be about being young and unapologetic. Two simple things. Who better? Who really encapsulated that as a young man living his life unapologetically than Cassius Clay? It's not about Muhammad Ali. It's not about Cassius Clay, but our hashtag, our tagline is really born unapologetic. So we wanted this to be...
And you felt like he had his life and him as a young man exemplified
absolutely. Not just, Cassius is something that's created by largely black and brown people. But much like Ali himself, much like Cassius Clay himself, we kind of feel like what we have is a worthy export. We want this to be a global thing. We're trying to create something that recognizes that we are the culture creators. We really are the authentic voice. We are the ones where you see folks nowadays kind of selling black and brown in a way, and we feel like we should put our place at the table, make our place at the table clear, but we also feel like we should recognize that there has been there's a commodity that's happening now with culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a very
A
specific
currency.
way.
Yeah.
There's a currency all around it. And why are we being bystanders? Why are we kind of sitting on the outside of this expression and watching other folks? And we've been in all kinds of newsrooms, competitive newsrooms. I was telling you guys before the show, I've been around for a long time. And our newsroom is special because you see people who look like us, who look like the culture, who are the authentic center of this world, now reporting on it, now becoming authorities. And I'm talking about young folks. I'm talking about millennials who recognize authority. And so that's really what Cassius is about. It's fun. It's fly. We're doing covers. I have a long history in magazines. So we're bringing that back. Mm-hmm.
So there will be a magazine.
So the entire expression feels very magazine-like. We're not going to commit to a print magazine right now.
Okay.
But we feel like this thing, the reason we call it Cassius is because we feel like it's a lifestyle brand. Cassius Life is the digital publishing piece, but there's so much more to come. It's a philosophical gathering spot.
So by covers, you mean like digital covers?
Literally, digital covers.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
occasionally we will print them. We're 2 months in, so
Right.
we're really feeling our way through. But the covers is about recognizing that imagery matters, that we're centering this idea of taking back imagery. We're shaping it. We're shooting it like a magazine cover.
Okay.
We have a whole fashion style squad.
that's what I was gonna
we have a whole
ask
closet.
you.
Like it feels like a magazine. when you
Right,
come to
right, right. So
Cassius.
you cover everything from entertainment,
You got
everything
it,
that's
exactly.
hot.
Top to bottom.
So
And I
we'll
have
have
to
conversations. I'm sorry, Ibra. We'll have conversations like, I remember when I saw the whole like Kylie Jenner's bringing big
Yeah.
hoops back.
Exactly.
And, stuff like that. I'm like,
Exactly. I mean, you kind of nailed it. Again, why are we watching this? And we don't just have to be mad at it. We
Right.
can just take it back. We can just seize the center spot again. So yes, there'll be commentary. Yes, we will have to come for the Kylies when these moments happen. But they happen in big ways and small. It's not just the Kardashians that are guilty of the
No,
kind of
even
culture
brands
vulturism
like
that
I was disappointed, like Nike, right? Right now they have this whole thing with the Cortez Nike, right? They're bringing it back.
the classic.
What's the name of that model that the weekend was dating?
Bella Hadid?
I think it was
Yes,
her.
Bella.
I think she's like, oh, she's making it cool, and she's like the new face of it, right?
Yeah.
But I was disappointed in Nike because I'm like, if you want to bring this back, right? Why wouldn't you highlight all like the men and women who really made it a thing, made it successful, especially like in the West Coast, like all the all the cholas that really like
For sure.
that was a statement piece that meant something to culture when they wore Cortez
Because
Nikes,
it was
how
called
they wore
Nike
them.
Cortez, and at the time, Mexican Americans was like,
They
"Oh, word
responded.
Cortez!
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
word, I'm in."
I bet you're right there.
And you know what's interesting is a lot of times I see us as all of us, the media, people on social media, whatever, folks just going about their day, blaming the individuals who are often young, right, for culture vulturing.
Yeah.
But I don't ever see us take issue with the people who write the pieces because, like, for instance, we know based on who Kim is married to and based on them moving around L.A., those of us that are older and know the Kardashian family, and they've been around in L.A., moving around and just being a part of that Hollywood scene for a long time, where hip-hop, where, you know, street culture has been a part of that scene for such a long time, that when they opt to wear a Nike Cortez or a certain type of earrings or cornrows or whatever
like
they're
when
wearing.
Kendall Jenner did the Pepsi ad.
I think though, so yes, I do think there's
But
individual.
I never hear from them. They just take a photo, someone else puts a headline on it, and we get mad at them versus holding accountable the individuals that actually allow this to become a conversation. Is that making sense?
Yes, completely. And I think I slightly agree with you. You know, my sense is that, look, there always has to be individual kind of accountability for how you relate to culture. When you're a public figure, you're making a conscious decision, what you wear, how you rock it. And you're also making a conscious decision to address something or to not. So in many of these instances, it's not a problem that you love braids. We know you love braids. They would fly when we were doing them. We know you love gold hoops. That's what it was in the streets before it made it to you. But the idea that you do this and then an established brand, a mainstream brand, co-signs your action by saying you've invented or you made something amazing.
Now it's your opportunity to
now
be
it's
like,
your opportunity to be like, hold up.
Right.
Did you peep where it really came from?
Or where I got it from was XYZ.
Here's my inspiration.
Yeah,
Let's shine some light on founders, on founders, on
especially when people are being shamed for wearing that.
Precisely. I mean, you know,
or
I remember
not being able to wear it to work, and
I
now all
was gonna
of a
say,
sudden,
I had Cortez Nikes, and you didn't wear. You look when you looked like how everybody wants to look today in real time in the 80s and the 90s. You got followed through Macy's. You didn't just walk through the store looking like Soho fashion. You walked through the store looking like a black girl from Brooklyn, and that was problematic. So we're just saying that there's a time and place where millennials, informed by the best of Generation X, can really have a conversation that is urgent, but still relevant and young, and sometimes in 140 characters, and sometimes in color, and sometimes on the covers of magazines. We're just trying to be expressive and whole.
And informative.
And we're really trying to break through the clutter by doing a little bit less for the big win. So it's not just we're chasing every story.
So you guys don't see yourself as a blog. This is not a blog, and this is not just some...
not. I much prefer you think of us as a magazine. But even that has a limitation because this is a digital expression, and we plan to find you where you are. You don't have to come to us where we are. We're going to find you in your spaces. And it's an experiment. It's a really beautiful experiment because we're bringing back quality. We're bringing back reporting, again, photography, obviously filmmaking. So it's going to be a place for young artists, young writers, young thinkers, just really culture creators of all colors who kind of recognize origins.
Are you looking for contributors to all of the things that you just talked about?
So we're not hiring staff right now. We just brought in a group of folks who are really magical people. So we're freezing right now until we get into season 2. But we're definitely always looking for ideas, and we're looking for contributors all the time.
So people can pitch an idea. Hey, I have an idea. I want to write a piece or something like that. That is, you guys are open to that.
We are absolutely open to that.
So let's talk a little bit about your background, which is pretty cool. We were talking, you were with The Source as early as 91.
Yeah, really early.
Which is when The Source was this is when The Source was the Bible. You know, 91 through like 95.
Yeah, golden years.
Those are real golden years.
98?
Well, that was a research, but
it started.
That original Mind Squad, that was a real thing.
Yeah,
no, it was super real, but I just didn't want to cut them off at 95.
I'm not saying it was never good again. I'm just saying this is the glory was right now. This is when like every kid, if you were a hip hop head, had it in your backpack, like it was part of life. So
because it predates the internet, right? So we were just the centerpiece at that time.
Well, I mean, it was it. This was all there was.
It was the internet.
And it was the only at the time. It was the only really known. I mean, there were other.
There were tons
don't disrespect Blaze magazine and Rap
much
Pages
later.
out there.
Those things came later.
Rap Pages and Rap Sheet were a little closer to it. But
there we go.
But anyways,
look at you.
Well, that's what I do. But let's tell me, how'd you get up at The Source in 91?
Wanted to be a magazine editor. Didn't get the internship at the magazine I wanted to be at. Had a homegirl who was like, I got a friend who just started a magazine in New York. He's from DC like me. It's hip-hop. I was like, hip-hop? I didn't believe her. Showed up, never looked back.
Who was the friend she connected you to?
David Mays.
Oh, David Mays was from D.C. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, originally.
Originally, okay. And so when you get there, what do you first do?
When I got there, I was actually there to be an assistant on the business side, on the publishing side, which would have had me working very closely with Dave. But there was only one other woman there, and there needed to be women in the room, particularly then. And I just had a big mouth, and so it just ended up that I fell into editorial-styled conversations. I had also been trained in college for editorial, and the conversations evolved into editorial meetings, and those meetings turned into story ideas, and those story ideas turned into me being an editor there for about 4 years.
And did you work closely with Schechter?
Yes, we all were a part of that Source Mind Squad every day. We built the Source.
Who else was there? Who are the other names that were around at that point that went on to...
and Schechter went on to do those DVDs, didn't he?
Yeah, the Honey stuff. Or the
Hip-Hop
the
Honey
hip-hop,
DVDs
yeah.
that was real popular. Yeah.
Anyway, back to
I think he did a lot of things, but that was...
but I'm just saying that was like part of his...
Yeah, I mean, so everybody from that... this is why I love what's happening right now with Cassius. I have to bring it back to that because it feels very akin to that time for me. When you know that everyone in the room is at the nexus of something bigger to come. Everybody is working on this thing because they have so much potential themselves as individuals that when you put them together collectively, much like the Mind Squad, you just something kind of very special happens. It's an intangible. You almost can't point it out. You just feel it and know that it's happening. So the future of Cassius, I hope, outlives the future of what the Source was in 1991.
Who are some of the people on your team right now?
So we have Jamila Lemieux.
Yeah.
I knew you guys would, of course.
Yeah,
she's great.
Had to drop her first. We have Darnell Moore. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Brilliant thinker. He most recently at Mike. We have the whole style team from Ebony magazine, which is where we were last. Lots of young people that are just doing some really.
You know what I find
stuff.
interesting too? When you said Nexus, I started thinking about where we are.
Yeah.
In television and new media and streaming and blogs and Instagram and social and all of these things.
Yeah.
And you guys are, Kathy Hughes and I want to shout her son. What's her son's name?
Yeah. I forget Kathy's son who runs
Higgins.
Alfred. Oh, you talking about yes?
Alfred.
He's our CEO.
Yeah, Alfred. Who obviously have Radio 1, TV 1, what Roland Martin is able to do on TV 1 every morning is incredible and making a lot of noise.
It's a remarkable network.
And you see, obviously, BET with Stephen Hill, who's not there anymore. And shout out to the team there, still doing their thing, but it's owned by Viacom. So there's only so much they can actually do when it comes to dealing with culture in a way that we all would like to see, right? But they're working.
Yeah.
The nexus I think you're talking about is also we are watching the way people consume information, right? Because the Shade Room and with Baller Alert basically cut Bossip off at the legs a little bit by getting to the story on Instagram. So it took people away from the site into the Instagram. So now the story's there. Not saying Bossip doesn't do a great job.
Right. And also, and Bossip is now part of our family as well. Do you know this?
I did not know that.
So that's a recent acquisition, and it's one of the
so
things
you guys brought that whole network in.
Yes, we brought that whole network
And what was that? That network was Bossip, it was
Hip Hop Wired, and Madame Noir.
And Madame Noir, which was owned by another group.
Yeah, it was owned by another
And now
group.
that's a part of you guys.
Exactly. So it's funny you brought them up in that context because we see it as just a really exciting time.
But the brand the people know Bossip.
I was going to say the brand couldn't be any more solid.
Right.
Just like what we're trying to do with the Cassius thing and how we're aligning ourselves over at the iOne digital space. Where you were going in terms of like ownership, can we tell the truth?
Right, and that's
what
where I
it
wanted to
feels
go.
like to
Right.
have this kind of Black ownership and yet be at the table with the complexes of the world, with these bigger spaces, because we have real numbers and we have real aggregate power.
That's exactly where I was going.
It feels powerful. Like I know we're at the beginning of something pretty intense and major and competitive. Listen, it's business.
But is that a specific play? That's interesting that you guys bought Bossip, because with all due respect to Bossip, you guys sound like a totally different thing altogether.
Isn't that the beauty of it, though? We
But
don't
you gotta
have to
be
be
diverse.
the same thing.
Right,
Exactly.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yes.
That's sort of the purpose. So
Yes.
you have people over there who, if they just want to get their
Trash. You get some trash.
Yeah,
It's
you're
cool
getting the
people like
regular.
trash.
This is the junk. Bossip's like the junk food, the fun, stuff that everyone sees, salacious stuff.
Yes.
And then you want to come over and think a little bit more.
Yes.
Take it off. Because I was going to say that's the
That's
thing
a good
about
balance.
Yeah, I
about
mean,
Baller Alert and Shade Room. That's not stuff you need to dig into more.
No.
All you need is the post.
It's junk food.
You don't need an article. I just need one line.
Yep.
What you guys are doing,
a little deeper.
Different thing altogether.
A little deeper, yeah. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. We want the same traffic. We want the same attraction to our product, right? We want you to respond viscerally just like you're doing to those things. But we just want to take you a level deeper. Sure. We want to challenge you just a bit more. We want to push the conversation.
Stylistically, too, it sounds like you're the respect that Cassius Life will have for culture.
Yes.
And displaying it in a way that's awesome and beautiful and well thought out is important. I think that's kind of what, and that goes back to what I was saying, the nexus of where we are today.
Yeah.
Right? Because we see it even with our program where several years ago, before there was a Donald Trump, right, when you had Barack Obama in the office, you know, consuming the junk food every day felt like it was okay because you had a Barack. You
it was
had
a luxury.
Yeah, you had this thing where it was like, oh, man, everything's all good. Yeah. And then, you know, you have individuals like me that often rain on people's parades where I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's good, but it's not all good. We got a lot of work to do. Now you have a Donald Trump, right, where everybody's like, oh, shit. It's crazy.
They're getting clear now.
And people want to have serious talk, and they want to defend culture, and they want to build their community, and they want to figure this thing out.
Speaking right to it.
Right? So, like, we're in and that's where I think you were saying this nexus, you couldn't describe it, but that's where we are. Well, yeah, I like Bossa. It's funny. The headlines are great. Shout out to the people over there, right? I like the Shade Room. They come with some stuff, crazy stuff around then. But by the end of the day, and you even see it with the reality shows,
You see it with even Jimmy Fallon versus Colbert. Love, Fallon songs are cute. Love your little rap songs, but I want to hear about the politics too. And I want to laugh.
I love
so that's
that
why
you guys
Colbert
are saying
is
this.
kicking ass. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's why we've been kicking ass probably the last year. Yeah. People want a little bit
Just
more
a little bit
extra.
More. Just a little bit more. You want to feel like the knowers are the best knowers. You want to feel like the people
you also
who
want to feel like, yeah, we can have some fun and it's cool, but people know when it's serious.
Yeah.
And they know how to make that transition to be like, all right, game time's over, let's dig in.
And also quality comes in a lot of forms. So that's why I keep talking about images and I keep talking about like headline. All those things really do. The collective package can be the difference between the New York Times or the National Enquirer. You know what I mean? They could be both covering the same story. So it's really what you're going to put into this. We're not taking anything for granted. And we really don't want to be so serious that you can't come here and have a good time.
Right, of course.
The whole point. In fact, you guys have to check out our new cover. It's so kick-ass. You really do. Is there an app coming or is it just the site right now? Right now it's just the site. Now it's just the site. Remember I told you we're less than 2 months fully in.
That's right.
So we want to crawl before we walk, but we want our crawling to be substantial. So this cover is what we're calling a gathering of the unapologetics.
Oh, it's dope.
So it basically looks like the Last Supper,
it
but
looks
there's
like
a
the
lot
Last
more
Supper,
people
but
there.
we flipped it. We're calling it the First Supper of the Unapologetics. We've made that a noun. And we're also seeing this idea that it didn't begin with millennials, right? So that's why Harriet Tubman's at the table. And we're also pushing forth this idea that to be unapologetic doesn't always have to be framed in a kind of racialized lens. We recognize the power of being unapologetically Black. That is a centerpiece. But we also recognize how cool it is when you come through the room dressed in pink when everybody has on black. The whole idea of being unapologetic is...
And you even have Amber Rose at the table.
Of course we do.
Amber's the
she
queen
is definitely, and Rihanna, queens of unapologetic.
And I mean, you
Cardi B.
And this is not a blanket cosign on everyone's politics. This doesn't mean that we agree with everything you've ever done or everything you ever will do. But this is a recognition that you can draw a line. You can connect the dot between all of these people. And we're saying that this is what Cassius is doing. We're kind of connecting that dot. We're drawing that line between everyday people who have this same spirit and the notables that are in culture, both in the past and today and tomorrow.
Some of the categories on the main page, The Wake Up, 1990X, which I'm going to go check out.
Oh, that's style. We're doing a lot of men's style, actually. A lot of young men's.
The Tupac Refresher Course.
Yeah, those are stories that are out now.
Damn, Donald. Your weekly Trump cheat sheet, which is awesome.
I love that. That's great.
This is dope, man. Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you.
This cover breaks down into 4 different groups. The IDGAFs, I think y'all know what that is.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay. The Unapologetically Blacks.
Mm-hmm.
The missionaries, who we're saying are artists that are on a mission. They kind of can't help themselves from imbuing their work with message. and the sexuality healers. That's our femmes and our feminists, our LGBTQ family, the folks that are kind of living out loud
Amber
and proud.
What's up, the Amber?
Cardi. The Ambers, the Cardis, the RuPauls. You know, it goes throughout time, throughout cultural time.
I also think it's an awesome time because going back to where we are in a moment with all of the activism nationally. And the young ladies, Tamika Mallory and Carmen Perez that came up here and have come up here several times and talking about what they're doing.
It's wonderful that you create space for folks like that.
Well, yes, and I feel like those are the individuals that have always just kind of intrigued me. That's the most interesting piece of people who are willing to make it their life.
Yes.
Right? I'm going to dedicate my life to something that doesn't have necessarily anything to do with me. It's selflessness,
it's
right?
Selfless.
But they also have accomplished making that be beautiful, and not only in just what they're doing, but how they're swagging it out.
Precisely.
Right? Like they've made it like, because you know, back in the day, it used to be like, oh, I ain't with all that head wrap protesting, you know what I mean? I want to be. And they made it like, nah, we got our heels on, we fly too, and we still out here doing it.
We're here fighting for you.
Folks are not, everybody is living in their middle space now. Everyone is nuanced, has layers, has guilty pleasures that they ain't apologizing for, has all kinds of things that make activism even seem normal. It can be for you too. You can get in right where you fit in, which does feel very different than how things were in the past. And that's why this is such a special time, because you don't have to have a degree in X. You don't have to have a history in Y. You can just kind of come to the table with your intention and what moves you, and we can have this conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
CassiusLife.com.
CassiusLife.com.
Well, the cover just made it to my Instagram. This is the biggest thing that's happened. I just changed your whole magazine trajectory.
Love
really
that.
cool.
I screenshot it, but I didn't cut it yet. I'm gonna put it up.
I'm quick, bro. I'm quick over
Beat me to it.
Well, no, you have to like do your little mini thing you do.
I gotta
you put
frame
the borders.
I gotta frame it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We're gonna print these and get them to you guys.
Right,
Something needs to be hanging up in here.
All right, so get us some of that. It's a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure, my honor. Thank you guys.
Cassius Life.
For sure, CassiusLife.com.